Welcome to your cathedral. I'm Father Greg Sakowitz. You know, things aren't always as they appear. Things aren't always as they appear. This man was flying from Seattle to San Francisco some years ago. Unexpectedly, the plane stopped in Sacramento along the way. The flight attendant explained there would be about a 30-minute delay if passengers would like to get off, stretch their legs. Everybody got off. Everyone got off the plane except one gentleman who was blind. This man had noticed him as he walked by and could tell the man was blind because his seeing eye dog laid quietly underneath the seats in front of him throughout the entire flight. He could also tell he had flown this flight before because the pilot approached him and said by name, "Keith, we'll be in Sacramento for about an hour. Would you like to get off the plane and stretch your legs for a bit?" The blind man replied, "No thanks, but maybe the dog would like to stretch his legs a bit." Now picture this. All the people in the gate area came to a complete and quiet standstill when they looked up and saw the pilot get off the plane with the seeing eye dog. The pilot was also wearing sunglasses. People scattered. They not only tried to change planes, but they also tried changing airlines in some cases. Remember, things aren't always as they appear. Story number 2. This guy was very, very lonely and decided life would be more fun if he had a pet. So he went to the pet store and told the owner they wanted to buy a very unusual pet. After some discussion, he finally bought a centipede, 100 legs and all, which came in a little white box to use as his little house. He took the box back home, found a good location for his new little home with the box, and decided he would start off by taking his new pet to the bar to have a drink or two. So he asked the pet, "Would you like to go to Sam's with me to have a drink?" But there was no answer from his new pet. So this bothered the guy a little bit. He waited a few minutes and then asked him again, "How about going to the bar and having a drink with me?" But again, there was no answer from his newfound friend, the pet. So he waited a few more minutes, thinking about the situation. He decided to ask one more time, this time putting his face up against the centipede's house and shouting, "Hey in there, would you like to go to Sam's place and have a drink with me?" A little voice came out of the box. "I heard you the first time. I'm putting on all my shoes." Things aren't always as they appear, but always put on Jesus Christ. Again this week, I want to thank in a very special way Mark Teresi, his beautiful singing voice again and again and again. He's been singing since childhood. Also want to thank, beside Mark, David Jonas, our music director here at Holy Name Cathedral. David and Mark, you team up so well. And also special thanks to Father Mark, producer Smolka, who once again, week in and week out, tremendous videography, B-roll, putting this whole package together. So to Mark, David, and Mark, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Between the years 1985 and 1992, I was the vocation director at Niles College Seminary of Loyola University, and was also director of admissions. My ministry involved both inviting and challenging young men to seriously explore the possibility of priesthood with their lives. So about 1990, roughly 30 years ago, I met a high school senior who wanted to enter our college seminary, Niles College Seminary. He had one problem: his father. His father was against him entering the seminary. I told the young man that I would talk to his father, and his father said this to me on the phone: "I want my son to grow up and be a success, to be a somebody. I don't want him to be a priest." And this is what the father said to me: "If my son enters your seminary, I will disown him. If my son enters your seminary, I will disown him." I tried to further talk to him. He wouldn't budge an inch. The young man entered the University of Minnesota after high school graduation. I never heard from him again. You know, in this age of ours, self-esteem and self-worth are measured by performances. How well I do at a specific task reflects how good I am. If I don't accomplish a particular task, I must be a failure. God does not judge our accomplishments. He judges the heart and how much have we loved. We are trained by societal values to be in control, to get our act together, and to accumulate possessions on the way of the road called life. In short, to become a somebody by what we do and not who we are. And often we are so preoccupied with the destination, we forget about the journey. Now, speaking of journeys, I would like to tell you about the story of the chicken and the pig, good barnyard friends who one day went on a journey together. Leaving early one morning, the chicken was the first to spot a diner that advertised a bacon and eggs breakfast for $4.50. So the chicken suggested to the pig they stop there to eat. The pig wanted no part of the deal, and the pig said to the chicken, "For you, a chicken, a bacon and eggs breakfast represents a small donation. For me as a pig, it represents total commitment." All of today's readings reflect in some way this weekend or point toward what it means to be a follower of Christ and how that commitment can rattle us, change our life, and make us feel uncomfortable. It's about committing our lives to the Lord by the lives we lead, despite we are all sinners. And today's gospel reading from Matthew is among the hard sayings of Jesus. Matthew is not supporting family disunity or seeing how many families can be divided up. Not at all. His real message goes deeper. What Matthew is saying, discipleship means more than following Jesus when it's convenient. Discipleship means a radical change of life and acting in ways that our friends and even our family may laugh and society may not support. Disciples allow themselves to be surprised by God. And authentic followers of Jesus are willing to take up their cross daily. And this is not an easy task. Yet, I think sometimes we compromise and say to the Lord, "Lord, I will carry my cross, but only if the cross has training wheels on it, where it can easily roll across the floor." But life is hard, and we all have our challenges. And all of us today, young and old alike, if you know it or not, we preach a homily every day, not from where I stand, but by the lives we lead every day, by our words and actions. Irma Bombeck, who died some years ago, a well-known writer, she was terrific, saw the fun and the funny in married life. But she also saw the universal truths of family living, the joys, the sorrows, the pains, and everything in between. She wrote a very tough love book, required of mothers and fathers, in her 1978 book entitled, "If Life is a Bowl of Cherries, What Am I Doing in the Pits?" A very interesting title. And she says this in her book, "Someday when my children are old enough to understand the logic that motivates a mother, I'll tell them, I loved you enough to bug you about where you were going, with whom, and what time you would get home. I loved you enough to insist you buy a bike with your own money. I loved you enough to let you see anger, disappointment, disgust, and tears in my eyes. I loved you enough not to make excuses for your lack of respect or your bad manners. I loved you enough to let you stumble, fall, hurt, and sometimes fail. I loved you enough to shove you off my lap, to let you go over your hand, to be mute to your pleas, so you would stand alone. But most of all, I loved you enough to say no when you hated me for it. That was the hardest part of all." You know, to take up the cross of Jesus means emptying ourselves of our own wants, needs, and comforts for for the sake of those we love. Such love is anything but easy. And think about this. If we think something small cannot make a difference, try getting to sleep with a mosquito in the room. And let me conclude with this. Moving forward through COVID-19, through civil unrest, habits we should keep. Here are habits we should all keep during and after COVID-19. Supporting small local businesses, making concern for our most vulnerable an urgent priority, slowing down, checking on people, singing from our balconies and driveways together, thinking about what really matters, taking time to rest, especially with loved ones, pointing out who our real heroes are, making time to reflect and pray to God, realizing that we're all in this together, all of us, all of us, all of us, to hold hands, we're in this together. And finally, which of these habits are we going to especially work on and trying to keep? God bless you now and always. Amen.